I can't stress it enough, please don't pay anything to file the FAFSA. It's free. Make sure you go to the federal website. And if it looks too daunting or you're just having trouble with it, and it sounds very tempting to just pay somebody to do it, contact either our office, regardless of which school you're going to, or the financial aid office of the school you're attending. There's some federal hotlines you can call. All of the help is absolutely free. Please don't pay anything to file the FAFSA. If you're going online to complete it, which is going to be the easiest method, it's going to have some automatic checks in there. It's going to be fastest. They've redone the website, so if you've been out there before, it does look a little bit different now. It's simplified. They do have access to, again, the paper FAFSA. If you absolutely want to do it on paper, you can access that through this website as well. There is a pre-application worksheet if you want to just kind of get some of your figures written down before you go out there. It is available. We don't have our mass copies yet. You can print it from the website. It's not easy to find. If you go to the main webpage, there's a Browse Help link at the top. And from there, there's a Getting Started link. And it's from that Getting Started link, there's a link to the FAFSA on the web worksheet. I like it because you can sit down with all your paperwork, kind of get some of those figures squared away before you actually go onto the website and start plugging stuff in. You don't need to print the worksheet. I find it helpful. If you don't think you'll be able to print one, I do have some copies here. We should be getting our mass shipment by the end of the month, so you can contact our office as well. We can get you a copy if you don't pick one up here. The My FAFSA page, they've simplified it to the point where everything you want to do is just from one main link. So regardless of whether you're doing your initial FAFSA, as a returning student, if you're doing a renewal FAFSA, if you're just doing a correction or need to add signatures, it's all done through the same website now. They're from the same entry point of the website. As you log in, even the first time, it's going to ask you for name, social security number, and birth date, and that's how you're going to log in. Once you log in, it'll let you know your PIN status. If you have a PIN active, it'll show up in there that it's active. If you had a PIN a long time ago and it's inactive, that'll show up there as well once you log in. And once you have that PIN, that's going to be used to log into the more specific information with your application and all the information that's been provided on there. It'll also let you know your application status. If you filed it, it'll kind of let you know where you're at in the process. Some of the enhanced functionality, the help and hints now sections have gotten a little more helpful, I guess, is the word to use. They have specific line numbers on there. Pay attention to those because they will be helpful in filling out the information. It's going to let you know if it's asking for something, it'll usually let you know exactly where to find that information. It'll help you out with formatting. There's specific formatting with dates and such, so it's going to let you know what kind of format it's looking for those dates. It is automatically now saving as you go along. As you complete one step, it will automatically save it. So if your computer crashes or you just need to run that last step that you've completed, it'll save up to that, and you can go back in later and finish filling out your application. They've also increased some of the skip logic on it, so if you answer certain questions a certain way, it's either going to skip questions or tell you they're optional. I do recommend if it tells you it's optional, go ahead and fill it out. It's never going to hurt you to do that. What we sometimes find happens is if people skip a question and then we ask for information later on to verify and we find an error, once we correct that error, those questions might become required, so then we have to go back out and request more information from you. So provide as much information as you can on there to begin with, and it might save you some time in the long run. A fairly new tool is the IRS data retrieval. You can actually, by January 31st, you'll be able to go into the FAFSA, and if you filed your taxes, you can actually have that information imported directly into the FAFSA. If you file electronically after January, after the end of January, it'll be 1 to 2 weeks from the time you file your taxes electronically for that to be available. If you do it on paper, it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, so it is going to be a little bit longer if you're filing your taxes on paper. But what you'll be able to do when it starts asking you for income tax information, if you want to go ahead and use that import, a separate box will pop up if it's able to import that information. So you can look at your tax information first. You do actually have to check a box to say, yes, I'm allowing this to be transferred once you see that tax information. But if you check that box, it will move all that tax information over to the FAFSA. Once you get all the information into the FAFSA, you do need to provide signatures. If you have PINs, that's the easiest way to go. You're done once you submit those PINs. If you don't opt for the PINs, you can just print a signature page, so you can submit all your information electronically. Just print that signature page. There will be a barcode on the top of the signature page that will match up the application with that page. It'll take a little extra mailing time for that to get to the processor and for them to scan it and match that barcode. That's still faster than just doing the whole FAFSA on paper. After you've submitted the FAFSA, you will get a confirmation page, so make sure you get to this point. Sometimes folks just don't hit that last step and actually submit. You'll get a confirmation number, so if we ever need to track what happened to your FAFSA, if you can't find it for some reason, that'll help the federal government track that. It'll give you a data release number, which is used if you want to have other schools access your information that you don't put on the FAFSA initially. You can use that number to help get them that information. It'll give you an estimate of that expected family contribution even before it's fully processed, which is usually a pretty good estimate. Based on that estimate, they're also going to estimate any Pell Grant eligibility you might have, which should be similar from school to school, and also any direct loan eligibility you might have. Again, it should be similar from school to school. How much subsidized versus unsubsidized money might vary more between schools. It will also give parents an option if you're doing more than one FAFSA. Once you finish the first one, if you want to sit down and do the next one right away, you can transfer all the parent information to the next student's FAFSA at this point. Another new feature, they do have college information. So for every college you list on that FAFSA, it's going to give you some graduation rate information, some retention rate information on those schools. So if that's something that's important to you, they've made it a little easier to find that information just from filing the FAFSA. After you've filed, the student will receive a student aid report, which is just kind of a recap of everything that's been put on the FAFSA, and it lets the student know that it has been processed. If a student puts an email address on the FAFSA, that'll be sent to them electronically. It'll actually just be a link that the student will use to go back to the FAFSA website to log in and see it. If you don't provide an email address, they will send a paper copy regular mail to you. Check that student aid report, make sure there aren't any errors. If there are errors, you can go back to the FAFSA website and fix those, or you can get in touch with the school. They can help you fix those errors as well. And every school that you list on the FAFSA will also receive an electronic copy of it. Schools might request additional information, so be prepared for that, but they'll use that FAFSA information to determine your financial aid then.